Speaking of Mickie James versus Trish Stratus at WrestleMania 22, Trish Stratus made an appearance on the Busted Open podcast this week also, and she was there to talk about her Hall of Fame career. They also asked her about being ranked number 1 in WWE's recent list of 50 greatest women wrestlers of all time. Here's what she had to say about that.
You just brought up Charlotte's name, and the WWE within the past week or so released a list of the top 50 female superstars of all time, and lo and behold, you were number 1, with Charlotte coming in at number 2.
Yeah.
How does it feel for you to be declared the number 1 spot in WWE as the greatest female superstar of all time?
I don't know. Honestly, that's like a bold thing for them to put out, like a list. I mean, it's really, lists are subjective. I don't know who's behind the list. Like, did my mom vote? I don't know how this list came about. But internally, like with me and my team, we were kind of like, I mean, I knew there was the top 5, and I was just grateful to be in the top 5 with these amazing, athletes. And I kind of thought, I actually for sure thought Charlotte was going to be number 1. That's where I put her. But I don't know. I got the number 1 spot, and it was a little crazy. And they put that package together, and you get emotional when you go back on that ride, and you're kind of like, when they position it the way they did. If you saw the package, it was just like, you're like, okay, like, because I think it's just the time. I mean, I was lucky, of course. Look, I say, I only got the accolades, and anything that I got was because of the people that surrounded me. And that's including someone like you, like anybody that worked with me. I mean, as you know, I was green, and I came up and people were there to support me, saw the fire in me. And really, like, a lot of the stuff I did was only because it was a team effort, and we got to, go out there and kind of conquer these things together. So we were lucky. In a way, we were lucky that we had a crappy landscape to deal with at the time, right? We had these obstacles we had to overcome. So by doing that, we were able to tackle barriers and things like that. So I think because of the timing of my career, we were able to make such a big impact. And I'm just super grateful. And I didn't get a prize yet. I don't know what they're going to send me.
That's hard to say. Who is? Definitely the WWE list is wrong. So let's throw that out the window. First of all, their list is stupid. It always is, because it's a gimmick list. It's meant to put over the current talent, and they leave off names that nobody's ever heard of, or that they think nobody's ever heard of, which would be anybody that hasn't wrestled within the last 10, 20 years, basically. Which is fair, because when I was a kid, when I started watching wrestling, I was 10 years removed, less than 10 years removed from Bruno Sammartino's run. And I didn't know who the fuck he was and couldn't care less. So, when I was watching Hogan and Savage and Warrior, I didn't know who Bruno was, and I didn't care who Bruno was, just some old guy. So I get that. I get what they're doing there. But anyway, women's wrestling list. So I don't know any particular order. I can't say who would be the greatest of all time. That's so hard to say. But let's spitball some honorable mentions here. Trish Stratus absolutely belongs on that list. We'll stick with the top 10. I'll try to do a top 10 here for you in no particular order. I would say absolutely Trish Stratus belongs on that list. She was groundbreaking because she bridged that gap. She was one of those divas, quote unquote, that came from the bra and panties matches and was there for tits and ass. Literally was the manager of a team called TNA before TNA existed. And she was just there for her looks. She was a little fuck doll that just looked hot, and that was it, period. But she earned her keep. She worked hard. Very hard to work her way up. She did the degrading storylines, the bra and panty matches, the shit with Vince McMahon, and she addressed that too in this interview. They had me crawling around in stuff like that. At the time but it was her building herself up, paying her dues, because that storyline actually paid off. She got to get revenge, and I think that did level her up at that time. Then she started being taken a little bit more seriously, and she started having better matches, and she became a women's champion. And her run with Lita, those battles that they had, they main evented Monday Night Raw. Women main evented Monday Night Raw in what was it, 2000, 2001, maybe 2002. It was basically unheard of back then. It just wasn't a thing that happened. So Trish Stratus, and you hear so many women wrestlers that have come up after her that have gone on to say that they think Trish Stratus that's their girl, that's who inspired them. So you got to look at all that. We'll throw Lita in there for the same exact reasons. Everything I just mentioned with Trish, you can doubly add with Lita. Okay, so you got Trish, you got Lita, absolutely deserving of that. Let's go back a little further. You got to throw the Great Moolah in there. You have to, or the Fabulous Moolah, right? It's the fucking Fabulous Moolah. She was champion forever. So you can't really argue with that, and being the pimp of all the other lady wrestlers and shit. She basically was ladies wrestling in her era. So you got to throw her on the list. You have to throw Sherry Martel on that list. You can't have a top 10 list of female wrestlers and not include Sherry Martel. Not just for being the woman that, she beat the Fabulous Moolah, so Moolah put her over, so that was huge. But after her active wrestling career, her managing career, my God, she was absolutely worthy of a top 10, worthy of her Hall of Fame induction, all that. Sherry Martel, one of the greatest names in wrestling history. I'd put her on the top 10, on the top 100 list of wrestlers, period. Men and women, if you throw them all in a pile, Sherry Martel's in there. Not just ring skills, but your overall effect on the business, right? None of this is, can you wrestle like fucking Dean Malenko? Get all that shit out of your head and say, oh, she sucks at wrestling. She's your character, your fucking statalatus, right? Your status, your outreach to the mainstream, your fucking, the brand, how big is your brand, your legacy that you leave, all of that gets taken into consideration. So fuck off with that kind of shit. You gotta add Medusa to that. I would say she's, not on the level of a Sherry Martel, but pretty damn close. They're in that same field. So there's 5. We got your top 5. Modern day. Let's throw Becky Lynch on there. Let's throw. It's really hard to argue that all of the 4 horsewomen don't deserve to be in the top 10 even. You're looking wrestling history. They've main evented, minus Bayley, but then you look at the match that Bayley and Sasha had, so you can't really take Bayley out. So really you could make an argument for all 4 of the 4 horsewomen. Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. You have to. And that's not placating to a modern audience. That's not, you look at over the history, what are you gonna go with the Jumping Bomb Angels? You could put a Mae Young on there and that could round out the top 10 and you wouldn't be wrong there. That wouldn't be inaccurate. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 female wrestlers that I'm forgetting somewhere along the way here. You could pick a Molly Holly if you wanted to, because I know she's the workers' favorite, right? All the chicks respect Molly Holly, but I don't know that Molly was really all that impactful, or I never gave a shit about her other than she was the chick with the short hair and the huge booty, right? Which, So I probably would add Mae Young to that, because she was also very groundbreaking for her time. She was wrestling men, even, just a tough bitch, and just her longevity, the things that she was doing and up into her, 80s. So you wouldn't be wrong throwing, that'd be close to my top 10. I'd be willing to argue and negotiate a little bit there, but I think that's pretty fair. But hey, all of it's open to interpretation. But I would check out Trish Stratus on Busted Open. I would check out Mickie James on After the Bell, and appreciate the legacy that these women left on professional wrestling.
Oh yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Yeah, And you can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on the channel. Ooh yeah. Dig it!